Danny, get in the chopper! A digital psychedelic revolution of the mind.
Paleolithic emotions.
Medieval institution. Godlike technology.
It's time to start thinking globally.
And acting locally.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
Blessed by the name of Benjamin, this is Ben.
And Ben.
Riding the AI wave.
Oh wow, we are surrounded by art. Color, expression, thought, hours and hours and hours inside one box, one canvas.
Wow, think about that. Yeah. It's a lot of like emotion. Think of all the emotion that was put into this, the sadness, the joy.
The feeling, the connection. You know, I'm literally staring at a painting. You know, it appears, you know, the amount of emotion and passion I see in this painting. It's a rendering, it's a recreation, it's an interpretation, it's a moment in time. It was August 8th, 2023. Lahaina, Maui, and these fires that ripped through our community, ripped through these neighborhoods, and Lahaina specifically, like nowhere else on the island. And this painting is of this mother.
Okay, we gotta reset. That'll all be. We can cut this, but. That'll all be on the iPhone sound. We still have the iPhone sound.
Yeah,
it's not all lost.
It'll be on there.
Just won't be as great as.
Ooh, though, isn't that the way? Like there's always these amazing moments, and even when you set everything up, there's still this element where you can't quite capture those moments. Not all the moments. You know, this great breath work, this conversation. You know, surrounded by art. We're here in this incredible space. And Ben,
let's try and reset that.
Okay. And
that's borrowed from another podcast. But yeah, we could reset that. I love that thought though. So
can we just start this episode, this 10th episode? Yes.
Whoa.
Congratulations, Ben. 10 episodes, Ben 10 on Ben and Ben riding
the AI wave.
That's right. And here in this moment, we're kicking it off with these couple of microbrews, these brews that illustrate Lady Liberty and Abraham Lincoln, and they're just screaming America. And we're screaming about liberty. We're screaming about ending slavery. We're screaming about stepping forth as sovereign beings, as sovereign humans for our right to live, our right for freedom, our right of speech and expression, to live a happy life, to be happy. We are screaming to be released from these bonds that keep us from our happiness.
Amen. True. Centennial. How's that taste? Oh my God, this is amazing.
Isn't that great?
What?
They do such a good job. That's a blood orange IPA.
You've had this?
Yeah. I saw it in there. I was like, oh, I totally remember this. This was delicious. Not just because it was, Abe Lincoln crushing a blood orange into this brew, but no, that's why I remember it, because Abraham Lincoln was passionately smashing this blood orange, and this Hell or High watermelon wheat beer brewed with watermelons. This is a seasonal delight by the 21st Amendment Brewery. Thank you, 21st Amendment Brewery,
for sponsoring
this delicious episode, Ben 10.
At least inspiring some part of it.
Because where are we right now? What are you listening to? You're listening to Ben
And Ben.
riding the AI wave.
This is the Bentennial.
Yes, it is. This is the Bentennial, everyone. So buckle up, because we've got an episode here for you that will light you up and send you straight for maybe the bunker. Because I don't know about you, Ben, but for the last like 5 weeks, it feels every week is like doomsday. Every week it feels like it's the end of the world, and I don't know what is controlling this or what kind of energetic cycles we're in. Excuse me. Let it release. Release the cycles. What kind of energetic cycles we're in, but I mean, there's either one world disaster after another, natural or man-made. There's like all these. I'm sitting on these sun predictions, all the solar flares, all the electricity is going to be blasted, and we're going to be looking at mass power outages, and the premise of nuclear fission or fusion. What are we looking at right now? What's the big hot spot?
Fission.
Yeah. Essentially unlimited, infinite power. We now have unlimited power. So anything that you was limited by the ability to produce power, no longer, Ben.
That's insane.
That's insane. You know, Toyota just bought the patent for a water-powered engine. That's insane. Sorry, everyone with an electric vehicle that thought you were gonna like be saving the world for the next decades. We have water-powered. So, you know, good luck.
It's like next thing it's garbage powered. You can just put these in our engine and be like, all right,
Back to the Future. I mean,
crush these up.
they knew what they were talking about. I mean, the DeLorean. Who was it? Oh, I was looking into somebody's eyes the other day, and I swear I saw the flux capacitor. You ever do any like eye gazing? You ever just like sit with somebody and just like really drop in and
Never.
stare into their eyes?
Never.
Wow. It's a treat. It's another world.
Actually, I did last night with this girl.
There we go.
It was really just a nice gazing into a person's eyes, where she just seemed to like just look straight at me, like in the way that not a lot of people do. And then she got a little distant when I mentioned what I was talking about.
Did you scare off this girl with weird, awkward
with
conversation?
my weird ideas about technology?
Well, I mean, I guess that's why we have.
Idiot.
That's why we can ride the AI wave, because we can put all our weird ideas about technology in a format where other people that like weird ideas about technology can come in and listen and be uplifted and inspired, or set into a panic and fear. You know, depending on how far and deep we get into this.
Yeah. But I mean, I like
what was it that freaked her out, Ben?
Well, I tried to coin my term techno-communist, and she's like, oh, I haven't heard of that term before. And I was like, that's because I made it up. And then early in the conversation, she was talking about like how her parents came from communism, so she was very close to it, and the lack of freedom that you have within that system. And I just kind of used it as like an egalitarian term, like hey, we're all equal, and we all just kind of have to be run by this centralized government. I was kind of hijacking it for that use and not the lack of freedom and lack of choice. But perhaps, so it's making me rethink. Her reaction is completely making me rethink that term.
Techno-communism.
I like the techno part,
because for you, technology, communism, what, an equal field, an equal playing field, or how do you define communism, how it relates into technology? Techno-communism.
It's creating like a commune environment where you can provide the community with all of the nice features that a community needs and has, and all, and provide humans with all those needs too. So I think that's what I like about that term communism. It's just that it has it's like a root. The root word is community. So
Would it change at all with techno-socialism?
socialism.
Socialism.
Yeah.
Techno-socialism. Democracy, a techno-republic. Whenever you...
Maybe a republic sounds better, yeah. But
right.
interesting.
Whenever you say techno anything, it makes me think of Star Wars and the Techno Union Federation.
Yeah, there is that. I haven't heard of that.
Right? I mean, because wasn't that whole race, weren't they like a highly advanced technological society? I mean, weren't they robots themselves? Were they an organic life form, or were they just robot creatures?
Oh, the clones?
No, the ones who were building the clones that paired up with the flying guys on the one planet with all the whoosh, and the Techno Union was there, and they were like, yo, you better make sure that things are going right or we'll be upset and we'll bail our life.
Yeah.
Techno Union.
I'm not that into Star Wars where I know about that stuff, but is that from the TV show or the movie?
I never know whether somebody should feel ashamed for not knowing about Star Wars or for knowing about Star Wars. Right in. How do you feel about Star Wars? Is it something that everyone should know, or should you be spending your time on other things? Because there's a lot of Star Wars out there. I mean, we kind of lacked on our subscription of Disney Plus because now Disney holds Star Wars in their pocket, and if you're not paying Disney, then you're not watching any Star Wars.
It's like, what's canon Star Wars? That's a question. Like Lucas, if Lucas writes it, then it's canon, or I mean, but I guess Disney says what it is, and there's all kinds of fan fiction now, too. Right. Essentially, like Disney is just writing fan fiction for what happened already.
Well, I think a lot is based still off of the novels, and the novels have been around for quite some time, and I think they keep on going back to the novels for inspiration of the many side tangents and spin-offs.
Welcome to Ben and Ben running the Star Wars wave. This is just a Star Wars podcast.
Well, I think Star Wars is a great example because Star Wars is a piece of science fiction that we put out in the world in the 80s, and now only 40 years later, we're seeing some of these technologies come forth. So many people grew up with sci-fi. Sci-fi, and that was the only avenue to a world beyond what they saw outside their front door. What they saw in out their world was sci-fi, was Star Trek, was Godzilla, was Star Wars, was sci-fi people. Tell me more sci-fi things to pop in here, but that was the avenue to blow your mind into a whole nother world. And that world that was brought forth by the imagination and the connection of those authors and creators is the very reality that we are creating for tomorrow.
Yeah, it's like our technology right now is an intersection. It's like a Venn diagram of what's possible right now and what was imagined before. You know what I mean? And all the stuff that was imagined before is not necessarily possible. Back to the Future stuff with the hoverboards and the time travel and the garbage, your car running on garbage. It's not necessarily possible right now. Could be. But a lot of the stuff like Asimov and Star Trek.
Grandfather of sci-fi, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's what they say.
There's not many things that weren't written in sci-fi first and then became technology. What's something that ChatGPT, I guess, would be something.
I mean, even that
sci-fi.
Sci-fi's been speaking of computers that have all the information in the world and that can respond to you as if they're their own separate entity and being. Mm-hmm. They can speak for themselves, essentially.
Yeah, we could go through that. That was essentially how 2001: Space Odyssey in the 1950s Or when did that come out? 60s?
69, I think.
That was the moon landing. No kidding.
Oh, weird. Oh, what was this? Stanley Kubrick and the moon landing?
That was
Okay, so actually 2001 Space Odyssey then happened like a year or two before, because then they were like, oh, wait, that guy already knows how to shoot it.
that was the audition.
To beat the Russians and the communists to the moon. We had to bankrupt Russia, to send all our resources into space.
God bless America.
America. This is where we drink.
Blood orange.
Watermelon. And this is the world we live in, where our microbrews and our fermentation are even like by flavor and like almost feeling. I wonder, for a long time I thought, why can't we just like imbibe like our nutrients? Like everybody goes
Inject them?
There's injectables, sure. There's like IV ketamines. No, not ketamines. The IV
We're gonna get flagged for that.
Ketamine? Well, ketamine is
kidding.
actually ketamine isn't
It's
just like
used.
some street party drug. It's a therapeutic medium to release a lot of trauma for people. The psychologists right now are able to prescribe these ketamine trips for people, just as in Washington and Oregon and a handful of states have now legalized psilocybin. These different natural medicines are now coming out of the stigmatism of drugs and coming into the world of medicine and healing.
So, it's also used to put you, like if you have a high enough dose, I think ketamine is used to put you to sleep.
Well, it's a
Put you under.
tranquilizer.
Yeah, sorry, that was the word I was searching
Yeah,
for.
it's a tranquilizer. I mean, the first time I heard about it was some friend at Burning Man took ketamine as this recreational thing, and they were just like completely paralyzed in their body, and they were completely awake and conscious, but they weren't able to move or like speak or do anything. They were just like and for me, I was like, that sounds terrifying. That doesn't sound good at all.
That happens to people in surgery as well.
Oh yeah,
They're
like
put under.
when they're the anesthesiologist like tweaks something the wrong way, and now there's somebody that's experiencing like open surgery. Too much. Wow.
Wonder how many one in how many hundreds or thousands surgeries that's the case. The anesthesiologist just prescribes the wrong thing.
I think that's why anesthesiologists are one of the higher paid doctor positions at the hospital. There's a lot riding on that position.
There's a lot of risk in that position. I heard their insurance is a lot, like they have to pay for it, and so like they get paid a lot too.
It seems like another form of slavery or like indentured servitude of becoming a doctor and going through med school and all the loans and then repaying the loans and all the insurance pieces, and like it's essentially just trapping someone into a position to have them perform for you for years and years and years and years and years and years and years.
Yeah, we have so much specialty that we study for all that time, like after high school. They have to study for probably 12 years
At least
10. 4 in college, 4 in med school, and then like maybe 4 more for specialty of that, or 2 more for specialty.
we'll say at least.
But yeah,
I like what you're saying about the risk, because there's a lot of risk in that position. And I think when we tie it back to AI and the different roles, the different jobs, the different positions that we see interacting with AI and developing AI, I think there's some positions that are riskier or at more risk or greater effect to the rest of the world than others. Ben, can you think of any like at a core level positions in the AI field that would pertain to that?
Any position that controls weapons technology, you're gonna have a higher clearance to be able to work there. And I know if you work at SpaceX, you have to be like a U.S. citizen.
Mm-hmm.
You can't come in on the H-1B visa or like be any foreign citizen. But I think that there are a lot of risks in terms of like, anything with a gun attached or an explosive and a computer, it's going to be very, very powerful.
So I'm thinking of military drones. I'm thinking of now
Societal.
police dogs and the police robots hitting New York.
It's real.
I'm thinking of defense systems and remnants of Terminator and the whole like nuclear blast off back and forth and the scenarios that have been programmed and run for years.
I mean, these algorithms are so powerful. They can track you better than any human real time from God knows how long away, like maybe a mile away. And then just if you attach that technology to a gun, it's able to shoot accurately. It doesn't seem like it would take tens of millions of dollars in engineering to build something that's very, very dangerous.
I mean, does anybody want to talk about satellites, space lasers? We can talk about space lasers if we want. We were just talking about the Lahaina fires, and a lot of people were talking about space lasers. And then when we were talking about the mandates and the vaccinations and some of these lockdown procedures, and they were saying, make sure to keep 3 feet away or 6 feet away during all the COVID stuff. Was it 6 feet?
Yeah, well,
Yeah, 6 feet. Well, think about it. If you're holding your phone and you're at all times 6 feet away from anyone else, and you can completely track the phone, then I'm going to say that it's well within possibility to space laser anybody on the face of the planet that's 6 feet away from someone else with a very high degree of accuracy.
and all your personal data is on attached to that phone. And like,
Space laser.
they know who it is.
Yeah.
Could be any app. Man. So they just track you with their phone and then space laser you out of existence.
I mean,
Star Wars. I think you've watched too much Star Wars with the laser.
a lot of Star Wars, a lot of James Bond.
What do they call it?
I mean, Diamonds Are Forever, Moonraker.
The
Let's
Death
go.
Star.
Come on.
Oh yeah.
From Russia with Love. I mean, we're going to space, people.
The Death Star is the ultimate space laser.
Whoa, the most. The most. Oh, I was watching some piece that was talking about what like ancient civilizations, or maybe like the alien civilizations, the different seed races. There's some
Seed races.
Yeah, there's
Interesting.
a sect of people that have the belief that Earth was seeded by different alien races and species.
We just forgot. Somewhere along the way.
Yeah, just forgot a long time ago. But anyway, they were saying that, like with the Atlantean technologies, with the Egyptian technologies, like with all of these incredible monoliths and great wonders of the world, the technologies that it took to create that, around those same times, there was also these great technologies of destruction. Well, like the aliens, they had to get away because there were planets getting blown up like the Death Star, and they were like, we got to go because we ain't playing that game. So they came to Earth and like seeded it with some of their DNA.
That is so much more likely. That seems so much more likely than just
We
life
evolved
happening.
from
It
gorillas
just-
and chimps and
But then-
from the ocean.
But then it's a chicken and egg problem. We're like, okay, life had to begin somewhere,
Somewhere.
but it's a simulation problem again. Like, are
man.
we in the base layer of existence, or are we in some simulation? Were we just seated? It's kind of answering the same question, which we have no way of knowing. But we do know through some DNA analysis that how all the organisms on Earth are related, and that we have commonalities between this organism. therefore, like we share 99.7% or something like that with chimps of our DNA. Crazy high number.
And then we share some crazy high number with pigs. Like, how are we so similar to pigs and so similar to chimps at the exact same time?
It's just like, it's a very small amount of differential DNA. It's like mammals. Just to be a mammal, you have to have so much similar DNA. And then, like, another species completely, like a starfish or octopus. We're still related to these creatures.
The starfish is actually somehow human relating.
Yeah. It's like we have a common ancestor with everything that's alive. Pretty much, right?
I think that just goes
that.
to support the basis that we're all one. We're
all family.
We're all one. We're all connected. We all come from this very similar genetic pool in evolution of life, of consciousness. See, and that's what this is. Okay, this is where we start tying back in with the AI, because of consciousness. Right now, we're surrounded on a planet surrounded by other humans. They're bears and chimps and pigs and all the different species. They're all conscious, right? They're all conscious on some level. And I think people will judge or discriminate depending on their level of consciousness. Like, oh, they're just a whatever kind of animal. We can do whatever we want with them, treat them however we want because they're not so conscious. And then everybody starts feeling real bad when they're like, actually, like, oh, look at those cows, like, love each other, and elephants, like, remember each other, and pigs, like, actually have a smart, intelligent life when given the opportunity. Or chickens, like circus chickens. Did anybody know about circus chickens and how smart chickens are? You know, and yet they're one of the most populated and farmed species of animal to, you know, go buy for $5 at Costco.
We got no respect for chickens.
I mean,
just call them chicken. Every other meat is called something else.
It's so delicious.
Yeah.
I mean,
consume it. Yeah.
Meat, right? I was talking with a friend of why meat tastes so good, like biting into it. At least for some and many of you, biting into like a hamburger or like a big old piece of chicken or steak or whatnot, like it's just really gratifying. And we were talking about how in the past, in the primal state of humans, when we went out together and hunted and strived for hours to be able to catch the food, you know, that would feed and sustain us, like how all of that work and all the hunting and catching, all the skinning and preparing and butchering, all the cooking and seasoning until it hits your mouth, that was a lot of work that went into that. And so I think for the last, you know, hundreds of years, it's just been stamped into our DNA that when you bite into that meat, it's like, oh, thank God I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm going to live again tomorrow.
Umami. That's a Japanese term for meat fat.
Incorrect.
No, shoot.
Umami? Umami. Yeah, umami
is not Japanese? Oh.
It is Japanese, but it's the flavor of mushroom. It's a mushroom flavor or like seasoning. Okay. But it is like a savory.
Savory, yes,
like it's another savory. Umami.
Because mushroom. Some people have mushroom burgers. They just put a mushroom there because it has a meaty texture and a savory texture.
Right.
We get off so many tangents on this show, but that's what makes it awesome.
I have a friend named Basho. He created his own umami flavoring. He's a cool Japanese guy.
It's a cool word.
Umami. Ooh, umami.
Yeah.
Mushrooms.
Yeah.
Marmalade.
Yeah, we could. Yeah. So what do you say when your mom cooks you? good chocolate chip cookie.
Ooh, mommy.
Yeah. Or
good cookie.
Cooks you a good steak.
What did I say?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the punchline. Ooh, mommy.
Ooh, mommy, that's good.
All right. So back on all things technology and innovation, all things moving and progressing in society, all things.
So much that's happened, man. Like,
What's going on?
so, Hey Gen, a year ago used to be just unwatchable, and
This is a AI software application that translates your voice. So right now, speaking in English, HeyGen would
it's like a video to video AI, and then it's like you can type in text, and then I guess it's video to video, it's text to video, and then you have to record 2 minutes of your video, and then it can make whatever you want, and then we'll have a
you're
clip.
speaking in Chinese, Japanese, Mandarin, Afrikaans, French, Spanish. You're speaking in every single language. And now, not a year ago, but now the voice and the mouth move with the language that you're speaking in. Next level.
Not just the lips of like, it's like the expression is there. Oh my goodness, man.
Long and missed are the days of cheesy dubbed over martial arts movies.
And here's the twist on this episode. This is created by Hey Gen. No,
We're actually
we're
speaking
real.
in Mandarin right now. Welcome.
This is our master plan.
Welcome. E como mai. Bienvenido.
So you're gonna have a workflow where you take your transcript and translate that with AI. Use Whisper or whatever audio to text technology exists. Maybe there were some errors, fix them, and then take that, put it in any language possible. You Google Translate it in the mini of the technology, and then you put that output into something like Hey Gen, and then you have a show that is for millions of more people. And you're just creating. And this is what Mr. Beast is already doing.
That's
and
right.
Leveraging, but
That's right.
It seems like it's very accessible right now, even to us, even to Ben and Ben, not just Mr. Beast.
Right?
So
Huge cash flow.
yeah,
Do anything. He does anything.
I think, and this is the example of a technology where like you just have to be on and aware of this technology, and that's why we're telling you guys about this.
To be able to use
because-
it, utilize this and reach a greater audience, reach everyone. We're now speaking not just in our town hall prior. We're not just talking in the town, like the town square. We're not just speaking over a newspaper of this magnitude, this. Now we are literally speaking to every single person on the planet at the same time.
If you're an influencer and you're not using this, you're going to be left behind.
You're a fool.
Left in the dust by
Sorry.
other influencers.
Foolish.
Yeah.
You can contact us. We'll help you out with it. But still.
That's what is brought to you by Hey Gen.
Hey.
But I mean, there's going to be other tools like Hey Gen that are probably copycats, and maybe there'll be one that'll catch more user interaction.
Well, Ben, this is essentially going back again to sci-fi. Can you tell me who wrote Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Dude, we should just go through technology and be like, oh yeah, this is where it happened. But yeah, Hitchhikers was done by Douglas Adams.
Yes. Douglas Adams was talking about
Babelfish.
the Babelfish.
Yep.
And this ability to translate. And we see it now in each of the different sci-fi movies and stories, this mechanism that doesn't matter what country you come from, what planet you come from, if you're projecting a thought or a message across, then it will be translated so that you can understand it. That's what we're getting down to. Again, just this like communication across the board.
And to our point, and to our collective point, the Ben and Ben point of like, it happens in sci-fi first, then I feel like then it happens with technology. Meta and Zuckerberg are really pushing the Ready Player One metaverse kind of world on us.
Oh my God.
Even if we don't want, even if they're losing money hand over fist, they're like, "Oh, we saw this in sci-fi. We
Push it. Yeah. They just push it. I mean, Ready Player One. I mean, that's probably one of the movies in the last 5, 6, 7 years or so that I watched the most. I keep on going back to it. I keep on watching it. I showed it to my kids. My kids want to see it over
That's
and over.
why you're
and over.
really
I want to
watching
see it over and over. Like even without my kids, I watch it. Yeah, it's wholesome and it's like accessible. It's probably PG-13, right? Yeah, accessible. That was one of the major things for so many different films, was to make it so that it would reach an entire like family audience. And in Ready Player One, there is such a premise of your life might be crap. You might live in a tiny box, but that's okay, because when you put on this headset, you can be and look like whoever you want to be. You can go to any kind of world. You can indulge yourself in any kind of activity in this virtual world. and I mean, the possibilities. I mean, just in that fact, that in that premise, that the possibilities are endless. That you really truly can be whoever you want to be and do whatever you want to do. Race, battle, adventure.
Identity takes on a whole new. I mean, there's so many different conversations about that. But like, what do we make of our identity? If we have an identity in the metaverse and the real world, if we have multiple identities in the metaverse that we could just buy. But I think right now we spend money on our identity and like the cars and clothes and accessories that we buy.
Good point.
And it's like,
how much money do people spend on their clothes in the real life? If you're spending more time in the virtual world, wouldn't you spend at least that same amount on your virtual clothes and cars and houses and accoutrement?
And for that, it's a great price for Zuckerberg and Facebook too.
And all the developers, coders, graphic designers.
Nothing.
You know, it's like there is an industry there, unless it's just some guy at the top that's telling all the AI now to create all of those pieces. And now all the money that you're putting in is just going up and funneling in.
With like,
how do you regulate that?
If you buy a pair of Nikes in the real world, you have a whole supply chain, and you have to pay a whole bunch of money.
You have to pay all those pennies to those children in Indonesia.
If you buy a virtual pair of Nikes, I mean, it costs absolutely nothing to produce the second time, the first time. This is like so obvious, but that's probably a reason why Zuckerberg wants to push the metaverse identity, because it scales. You can like scale that type of purchasing.
The scalability of profit in the virtual world is unlike we've ever seen in the physical world. And I think we are being inundated. We are being inundated with movies and shows and different media that portray this lifestyle, so that one day when the option is there for you to log in, jack in and log in, upload, that you're a part of that world. And if you're a part of that world, spending your time and energy there, you're spending your money. You're spending your dollars.
Let's talk more about Ready Player One.
Okay, I love that place.
You know, it's just occurring to me that in Ready Player One, like the characters are all human, right? Like they all have a human counterpart in the real world. But like if we jack in, whatever you call it, we won't know who's human and who's AI in that world.
I mean, Zuckerberg was saying it in his interview.
Yeah.
Right?
I was referring to that, yeah, when I was thinking that.
With Ben's referring to the Kodak avatar. Recently, Mark Zuckerberg and this one feller influencer, they're having this whole interview. Lex.
Shout
That was
out-
Lex?
Shout out Lex.
That was Lex. Oh, Lex, you did such a great job. Good job. Lex Friedman and Mark Zuckerberg are in an interview together using the Kodak avatar. And right now, say it takes a lot of processing and a lot of different like setup to be able to capture, you know, all of your expressions in your face and all your movements and piece. But once it is, you're in. They have your image, they have your expressions, they have your voice, they have this detailed map of your person. They have your essence. And with that, you are now in a virtual world standing face to face with another human that looks pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like the device that they had like several cameras just on like different parts of their face, and it captured the little micro expressions that we have with our eyebrows and
Right.
with
A good old nose flare.
yeah, the nose flare even. Maybe that's in version 2.0.
Right, I don't think they're playing with nose flares yet.
hairs.
Get excited, everybody. It's coming. Nose flares.
It's important, man. It's communicating something. I don't know.
It is.
Every little, yeah, we have an entire part of our brain that's devoted to understanding like a person's face. Yeah, that's interesting.
The word phrenology is on my mind still.
Yeah.
Phrenology, the study of the shape of the brain, the skull.
Head, yeah, the skull.
Yeah, the skull, and the different applications. Like as I understand it, it's a bit of like fortune telling with the skull by feeling your head. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, yeah, it's like astrology basically for the shape of the head instead of what month you were born.
Oh wow.
But there is a minor correlation between like intelligence and head size, I thought.
How
But it's
literal
not-
big your brain
it's
is.
not that big of a correlation. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was pretty minute.
It's like, yeah, I thought, but
But still, you were. I remember you being really impressed that there was a difference. There was an increase in intelligence with an increased brain size, even if
But
it is minute.
that said, I think phrenology has been debunked as a pseudoscience.
Right.
At least we should say that.
Okay.
But because I think it has roots in racism as well.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm even going back to William Shakespeare when he pulls out the skull and he's talking. You know, the grave diggers. So
Yeah.
the dude,
To be
his
or not to
helper.
be.
Yeah, that's earlier in
Odin.
the play.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, this is more like out in the graveyard when he's like pondering
That would
like
make
his
sense.
own life and existence as well.
Can you?
No, it was like his friend. It was he knew this person. I think he was like a caretaker and he was like holding the dude's skull and he's like having this conversation with him. But your comment on racism, there was talk on African Americans and their skull size. This is another like
This might be cut out.
for some reason we always have to
But-
touch on something a little bit taboo and a little bit politically incorrect.
Do it for the clip.
But this is also history, all right? We're touching on like some you can go and search that further and learn more about that. And obviously because we don't know about it, you can let us know.
is the thing. So Zuckerberg had a great
Yeah, back to the interview.
do a segue away from the phrenology. Yeah, that was a great interview, and I think that's what Zuckerberg. He's kind of priming everybody for that experience. He said it's going to be months, maybe years away.
Probably weeks.
but it's going to be a replacement for like having to go to work and maybe even like meet up for a podcast or like you could just meet somebody virtually. But I like being in the presence of another human being, but maybe if I experience this metaverse, it'll be
I'm a big skeptic. Like as amazing as it is and will be, still, I mean, I come from a background of acting and performing on a stage and knowing what live theater is. And if we're talking to any people out there that have been to live theater, there's nothing like it. And there's no recreation of being in a room with that energy that is put out right there. There's no replicating that. And I don't think we should. I don't think we should replicate that. I think we can just leave that alone. I think we can use, pieces like the Kodak Avatar for, yes, board meetings and work related. And again, think of our conversation with Jerry, and the simulations, ever since the 70s, DARPA and other military pieces have been using virtual reality, like tank simulators and live action. Think of Call of Duty, but like live virtual reality. And when the person you're shooting looks like they're right there, it's not just like some game. It's like this is now psychologically imprinted onto you and maybe desensitized on a large level, so that when they send you out there, you just do whatever that game and simulation taught and told you to do.
Can you talk more about like what makes theater better? Is it like there's the smell, there's like there's like the echoes of the room that is, I guess you could do that with reverb, but it's not the same. Maybe the vibrations that you hear and the feet. Mm-hmm. Like what is what can't be reproduced in the simulation?
For all simplicity, I'll say it's the soul. It's the spark of God. It's that spark that's in every living creature. That's the difference of waking versus asleep. When you are awake next to someone and they're breathing, you're breathing, there is literally a scientific toroidal field, an energetic toroidal field flowing out the top of your crown chakra and coming back around up through your root chakra, and it has been measured. Different people put out different ranges of toroidal fields of energetic vibration and frequency. That field interacts with the other fields of the other humans around you and other animals, other living beings, anything, like a beating heart. We'll say, even the pumping of the fluids in a tree, it's like there's this aliveness, but that toroidal field. And so I think it can't happen. Like in the virtual world, each avatar is not presenting or projecting out an energetic field that is imprinting and affecting. It has an effect, a scientific effect on all those around it. You get that in live theater.
Wow. I've never heard toroidal field other than like just now.
All right, this is why we have conversations, because there's whole pieces of the world that you have no idea about. And inversely, you have all these other information that I don't know anything about.
That's crazy.
But yeah, toroidal field. The earth has a toroidal field.
It's like the root word is terrain or earth, or
I don't know. Latin people tell us toroidal field.
Roids. What is a steroid? No.
We'll look it up later.
But
cool. Yeah, isn't that something?
Yeah, I feel that too. It's just whether it's toroidal fields, but it's something that's not easily described.
Yeah, science keeps on trying to explain the unseen, right?
Yeah.
Or I would say technology keeps on trying to reproduce the aspects and like the presence of a spiritual nature.
It does. I think in photography, something that I'm into, that's the first thing that popped in my head
What's that?
when the move from film to digital. Maybe I've probably even maybe talked about this on this podcast. Probably have, because it's on the front of my mind. But it's like, I'm sure I have. But it's just digital is just more convenient, and it's less cost, and it's going to get better. Even though it's still not the same. It's just so much more convenient as a photographer.
To be able to shoot 20 shots, pop,
to-
pop, 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 pop.
To be able to just put on the headset and go to work instead of having to get in the car and do all that.
Right.
Experience someone else's toroidal field would be like, oh, it's not worth it. I can just do this.
So we can move into a society where
Everything's just convenient.
convenient.
Ones and zeros.
It's enough.
It's a lot. Yeah.
It's not real, but it is real. What's real? If you're experiencing it. A lot of people, like, there's, have you heard, the continual maybe conversation on, are your dreams real? It's like, well, did you experience them? Can you recall them? Like, if you sit there, right after you wake up and you start to, like, be with it and think on it, can you recall more and more and more of what you experienced? Was that real? I mean, if you experienced it, that's real.
Big tech is going in a direction where we're like less fulfilled in our lives, but more engaged with the ego of ourselves, and just like more engaged with the technology, but less fulfilled in general.
I think they're appealing to a very base nature of humans, of this very the ego, the lust, the instant gratification of butt cheek. Like next.
That's what everything now is.
Next. It's
how do we engage? They're just engaging the reptilian parts of the brain and like the base nature, like you said.
Right.
Because that's what's going to hook us, and that's what's the most addicting to us. And addiction is dollar signs when it comes to tech.
Well, so I would say, what is it? Is it then the evolved man? Is it the evolved human that moves beyond that? That moves into another world where you're moving past those just base needs and wants and desires?
The deleting of the Instagram and the deleting of whatever these. These apps
same argument with the gun and with fire and with AI. It in itself is not evil, but when it's in man's hands, like, it's how man uses it. So you can have an Instagram account. How are you using it? By which means are you using it to project a certain thought or idea or message out to the world?
Yeah, we're just at a point where it's like, let's say like alcohol, for example. It just came out. Like, I'm relating social media out to alcohol, but like now we have an understanding of the diseases that alcohol, and like there's a good history of what alcohol can do to people's lives. But there's not like a whole lot of people we're the first generation who has had to deal with the addictive effects and the psychological effects of social media. But maybe in the future, maybe your kids.
No, it's messed up. We see children that they have a phone in their hand by 2-3 years old. We're in an unprecedented time when a child is born now that can live a life where they've never not had a phone in their hand.
They need to be in touch with boredom. They need to be in touch with the toroidal field, and not just
It sounds like in today's society that being bored is like the worst thing that could happen. It's like, that's so boring. Don't make me bore. Like, that's boring. Like, that's the worst, and you have to like next. Oh,
Yeah.
next. Like, what is it? 2 second, 3 second attention rate for like the reels and the TikTok thing?
Yeah, it's gonna change every
It's
like 3
like-
seconds.
It's
We
like,
don't pay attention to it.
it's so fast.
Real brain. We should call it real brain or Instagram brain or
Instagram.
Instabrain.
Instagram.
I feel like my brain recently it's turning into an Instagram brain.
What does that entail?
Exactly what we just talked about.
Next.
Hey, I maybe experienced just a little bit of what might have been boredom or even like not even that. Like I don't even and I just pull out my phone and that's just easy to palliate that boredom with one touch of the button.
God.
And you're just zombie mode.
Yeah.
You can turn off your brain and
Is
Turn on your thumb.
that moving towards an
Instagram
evolved state? I mean, beforehand, maybe somebody would just like check out and just like stare at a bush or stare at a tree or stare at a cloud. Is that more beneficial than what they're taking in on the phone?
that's a really valid question. Maybe Instagram. It doesn't feel intuitively like Instagram brain is healthier for us than staring at a bush. Staring at a bush, you know, it probably gives our brainwaves a rest to process and think about what's actually happening and like the things that I should be doing.
Not to mention if you're staring at, something of the natural world. If you're looking at a stream, if you're looking out at the ocean, if you're looking up at a tree or some flowers, this scientifically has the result to calm your system, to regulate your system in a natural way.
What bothers me about Instagram brain is like you're not getting anything done and it just takes away from what there is no like purpose. You're not looking up something specifically. It's just a feed.
Entertainment.
It's not going towards any direction other than keeping you locked in on that phone.
Do you know what entertainment means?
Break it down. And
I can't remember the specifics, but essentially it means to enslave you.
wow.
Like the entertainment business and the entertainment industry, Hollywood, it's essentially all there to keep you enslaved and
Hypnotized.
yeah.
But
And yet it's so important to be entertained. Like it's really made me relook and rethink at the importance and how I want to be entertained. What's entertaining to me and what am I putting my energy into in order to be entertained?
yeah, it's like you're looking up Star Wars. We know that.
Yo, somebody
in
like
your feed,
put
for
me
sure.
on their Disney Plus account so I can get back on my Star Wars
Stuff ain't
fix.
cheap.
No, I heard they were cracking down on that.
Oh,
Don't do that. All right, be proper.
but you
Be pono.
do that.
Send it over. It's a donation.
DM it. Or contribute to Patreon.
Yeah, there we go.
Become a Patreon member. What else we got? We talked about a little bit about quantum computing.
Google's quantum computer is still just like putting me in awe, and even in a state of awe, my mind can't even conceive the computing power or the ramifications that will come out of this computing device. Literally millions and billions of like man hours able to like just happen in a snap of the finger.
It's gonna break cryptography. I heard, like, if it gets advanced enough.
No, that's laughable. There's no encryption method that is more powerful than this quantum computer. With this quantum computer, it's an all-access pass to every bit of information all over the world. instantly. Like, it knows. So then it's just the question, what do you do with all that power? You know, with great power comes great responsibility, Ben.
Wow. And that's why I think AI, well, this is another, like, it's another area of risk we should talk about, but, like, is AI better fit to have great power? Is AI better fit to have great power than humans? Because it can process information faster. It's going to have less greed, we can assume. So
Unless that's
been
programmed
on my mind
into
a lot.
its right. Like, the corruption still lays within, like, the coding, or I like what you were saying with the purpose. What was it? The proxy, the like, for happiness. What are we programming?
Optimization.
The optimization. Yes. What are we optimizing? The AI, the LLM, the program, the computer, the computing device, the churning of the wheels. For what purpose are we putting behind it? What are we optimizing this AI to achieve?
We could optimize it for happiness. We could optimize it but then if we optimize it for happiness, what if China optimizes China
For power.
And
Right,
that
power, control.
starts to present an existential risk to our happiness if China takes over. So we have to optimize it for power. Then it's a game theoretic situation where, like, oh, everybody has to optimize for power just to cancel each other out.
That sounds like a terrible waste of energy.
When everybody could just be optimizing for happiness.
Let's all just be
it's
happy.
The
Like,
prisoner's dilemma. Yeah.
because, I mean, yeah, there's power, there's profit, there's people, there's the planet. You know, it's like, what do we hold the most important? You know, and really, like, the profits,
Dude,
isn't the profits just to live a happy life? So it's like, scrape away profits and just get to happy, because you can be happy with all the profits. There's, you know, so just get right to the happiness. And then there's power, like, essentially fear and power, or love and what?
We're really getting it down to the question of, why is power important? Because
to keep your happiness.
yeah, it's
To keep your happiness.
some people feed off your happiness. Doesn't necessarily mean power. So someone can exploit your happiness for their own power some way and increase their power and put your happiness at risk. And that's why, like, happiness itself may not be enough to optimize for. You'd have to have a defense that can keep you happy. Well, I just knocked over that beer. But
But yeah, keeping you happy.
it's just
And let's point out right now, pleasure is not the same as happiness. You know, you can have a life full of pleasure,
That's true.
and yet never be happy. I thought that was a very interesting point that was laid in front of me. I was like, though pleasure can be happiness, I think that, I mean, you can be pretty happy also experiencing pleasure. But pleasure,
we need both, right? We need a bit of both.
It's important to acknowledge that pleasure is not happiness. Like, they're not the same.
I never understood the people who just go for pleasure with, like, these who actually seek a human connection with something that's just like 100% just pleasure, transactional pleasure. Strip club, something like that, where it's just like nothing but pleasure 100%. You need a little bit more than that.
Right.
Connection.
Well,
toroidal connection.
I've never been one. I've never been on a dating site, but what I know of dating sites, you can put on there, this is exactly what I want. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I don't want. And you can narrow it down and get exactly what you want. Now, granted, if somebody's just out there and they just want sex, if they're just on like that pleasurable, this peak experience of passion and pleasure, and they get that, and then they push the button and they get that the next day, and they push the button and they get that the next day. Like at the end of that week, are they happy? Are they happy with their life? Are they happy because every day they pushed the button and they got the pleasure that night? Or because they just did the pleasure, they're still in search for the happiness? Like, is there something missing beyond just the point of pleasure?
I mean, I don't think it's the same for every person by any means. Some people have daddy issues. Some people have trauma in their lives. And so I think the more trauma you have, the more likely you are to get like that quick fix of happiness, perhaps, or the quick fix of pleasure.
So again, the
satiate.
serotonin and dopamine, these dopamine fixes, these flooding of the brain of the chemicals that say, hey, you feel great.
Because you do feel great for just a moment. And then then it disappears fast. But yeah, serotonin.
I think if it was really important, we would train our brains to be happy and to give it the dopamine fixes in a more stable way, in a more healthy, secure way. People talk of, breathing exercises, meditation, exercising, yoga, sitting on the beach, going for a walk, painting, petting a dog, petting a cat. There's eating some ice cream, making a really great food for someone else. There's there's the volunteering, doing kind acts of service for people. Like there's many different things that we can do to build up a regimen within our own self and body and brain to give ourselves happiness, to find happiness.
And how do you know you struck that balance between pleasure and happiness? Like, I think that's something personally that you could talk about, because I don't know. I feel like, that's a struggle though, just to not just pursue the easiest thing, but to pursue like something that'll make you the happiest. So as we talk about like AI optimizing for we should probably talk about like optimizing for happiness within our own lives before we can even talk about AI trying to optimize for happiness.
Well, I think you bring up a really good point. Like life for any human is going through their own traumas, is going through their own lessons. It's completely perfect and catered for them, for who they are in their life, where they were born, who they were born with. This set of circumstances that you've come into the world, and now here are the lessons and challenges presented to you. And I think that with the development and progression of AI and these quantum computers, that these technologies will be able to identify each person's trauma and be able to guide each on their own self-recovery, self-progression through their life's lessons in a clear and graceful way, so that they have an awareness and understanding of why their life is the way it is, and to help them find their kuleana, help them find what it is about them that is so special, and different and unique from the very person next to them and across from them and the person across the world. What makes them unique, and how and what they can do in their life to have a fulfilling and happy life. AI can guide us to happiness.
Actually, isn't that what therapy is about? Is just becoming more self-aware of your own trauma and your own shortcomings, so you can grow from that.
No, those are called girlfriends. They tell you how you suck.
But
your
I mean,
relationships tell you your shortcomings.
but it kind of provides a view of self-knowledge. It encourages self-knowledge, being like, oh, how do you feel about this? Oh, this is what I needed to say. I didn't know that before, but that
Therapy is an amazing practice that I think everyone should have someone that they can talk to in this world. In this life that you are every day presented with something that could possibly keep you from your happiest day ever. You know, I asked somebody today, it's like, did you have the greatest day ever? And they just sent a gif of like somebody like laughing their ass off, like, yeah, like that would ever happen. And I was like, how is it to be aware, to observe? How is it to observe those things during the day that keep you from your happiest? It's like those things. If we can observe those things that are keeping us from our happiest day ever, that's the work. Those are the lessons. Those are the lessons that life is bringing to you, to your very doorstep, whether you like it or not, to deal with, to learn from. And I believe that when we learn from those pieces, we come to a new state of happiness, a new level and evolution of self.
That's a great insight, yeah. And I think we can use AI to be a sounding board, at the very least, or to use AI to unearth the issues that we're having personally, and program it specifically for yourself. What if like you need cognitive behavioral therapy or another therapeutics, like solution focused based therapy would work better for you, you know? It could find the best kind of therapy for you. And BetterHelp would be, have you heard of BetterHelp?
Mm-mm.
Oh, it sponsors like every podcast.
BetterHelp.
This episode.
The better way to help you.
But yeah, what they do is they just hook up. It's an app you just download and they hook you up with like a human therapist. I think that's pretty much it. I have used it.
Is it a human therapist? Is it, Ben?
It is. We don't know.
Because how great would it be if thousands and thousands of people paid for a real therapist, but it was actually ChatGPT, and the Turing test ain't got shit on that.
Yeah.
Or Ben, maybe this is our next app that we can develop out of just one of the many pieces.
I mean, think of all the trauma here that we see that needs to be worked through in these paintings.
No, we actually, yeah. Actually, you are working. You're working on. Are you able to talk about it? You're working on an app right now to help people with trauma.
Yeah, I was working on like Lahaina.
It was like a call center.
Yeah,
like they would call up.
Yeah, it wasn't a call center. Well, yeah, you could call it as well, and it would be like mainly like a text number. But that's still in the works. Yeah.
Okay, so we shouldn't talk too much about it. Not yet.
No, not too much.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
we got things in the works to help
about
people
that a lot
using technology.
Yes.
There's a whole not market, but a whole these different worlds that we can plug AI into, that we can plug this greater technology, this tool. Again and again, I'm going to say this, like AI is a tool. It's like Prometheus and man. It's like the gods giving man fire, and we can either burn down the whole place and hurt each other with it, or we can use it for good and create the steam engine and like move tons and tons of materials across the Pacific Northwest. We can use it as a tool. AI, like, fire. And just as we've talked on the Industrial Revolution was another time in society where we've implemented technology for this boom of change and growth in humans, in the way we live and interact with each other. And again, with AI, it is yet another frontier of implementing a tool and technology into society, into our daily lives, into the very fabric of existence.
And there's a big cloud looming over the whole AI development. It's like, is this going to make us more prosperous? Or is it going to make a dystopian world? And that's what we're talking about when we talk about like this podcast and the AI wave, riding the AI wave. How do we make it more prosperous for us? And the Industrial Revolution did make life prosperous for everybody, right?
No, it didn't.
I guess
The person who
bad
owned the
example.
factory, who owned the company,
made it better
they
for
made
them.
all the money, and then they exploited the labor of simple tasks and remedial tasks. Just as you and I, if we created an application that used AI and different AI bots and employees, we could run a whole company all off of AI, like remedial work, and we would profit. You know, it's like
And we don't
all the
even need to
money's
employ
coming to us.
any humans. We just use the API, right?
Yes,
My gosh,
yes.
that's why we bring up the techno-communist
So it's
idea.
not prospering everybody. It's prospering the people that are implementing the technologies directly into the fields.
Yeah, that's why billionaires have been thinking, and like people like us are thinking about like, oh man, we don't even, for these jobs, we're talking about replacing therapists. We're talking about self-driving cars, replacing car drive. That's millions of jobs.
The
Replacing
medical
Uber
field,
drivers,
doctors and surgeons.
software engineers. I mean, millions of jobs.
Millions.
So we need some kind of happiness and some kind of purpose. And maybe we need a structure that will just give us that in an artificial way. Because capitalism is being consumed by automation. And capitalism may not have a need for humans anymore.
Well, I think we've seen now by the year 2023 what capitalism has gotten us. When was the Industrial Revolution?
I want to say
18
late 1800s.
Yeah. So
Wasn't it after? Is it after the Civil War?
It's like,
Before the turn of the century?
is it like
right?
200 years? 150? We've been at like a strong capitalist society for, more than 100 years. And today we have like 5 people that own like the majority of the wealth in this world. We've got, our main dude Bezos with, what was it, like 80 billion?
No, dude.
200 billion?
It's definitely more than 80 billion.
80, yeah, it's
double
around 80 billion. And so I really appreciate
Jamie.
this meme that was going around. It's like, so Bezos has 80 billion dollars. There's 8 billion humans. So if he gave everyone $1 billion, he'd still have $72 billion.
Oh, right? That is funny.
Right? You're a billionaire, and you're a billionaire, and you're a billionaire.
So we all have $1. If you gave everyone 8 billion. But
there's a lot of what my point is. There's a small amount of people controlling the vast majority of the wealth. All the money has gone to the top. Trickle down economics is a complete laughing farce. Everybody's getting screwed over except for the ones at the top. And that's no way to live. There's so many people struggling, working so many jobs just to make ends meet, just to live check by check, supporting a family of
crazy,
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people.
young first-time home buyers are having to compete with people who literally own thousands of houses.
Yeah. No,
How is that in any society okay? Or like,
There's a whole
It should
hedge
not be
fund.
illegal.
There's a whole hedge fund. How many?
Yeah,
if
it's a hedge
there's
fund.
if there's anybody that has tried
Chinese
to
hedge fund.
buy a home, and then all of a sudden somebody comes in with a cash offer, guess what? That was a hedge fund that just sniped your home away from you and your family, because now they're gonna rent it out and flip it and make a profit for their shareholders. This country and this planet is being destroyed by the premise of providing an uptick for your shareholders. We have to change this, please.
The house is a sacred institute, and we can change it, Ben. I mean, but the problem why it's not going to be changed, it hasn't changed, is because like nobody wants property to go down. Everybody that owns property, they know if they changed it, that it might go into a free fall. It's like, if there wouldn't be so much competition in the market, like say if we say like, oh, you have to be a U.S. citizen, and you only have to buy, you can only own a maximum of 5 houses, which is reasonable, right? And you can't be a hedge fund.
No, that's ridiculous. Nobody needs 5 homes.
Prices of homes would go way down, and then people would lose a lot of money. But I think we can fix this if we just say like, this is going to be enacted 10 years from now. So sell now. Like if we just said it's going to be tomorrow, then the
Mass chaos.
then it would just drop all the high. But if we say it's going to, okay, this is going to be like this 5 years down the road, that would ease the market going down so much, dropping so much, and it would provide a lot of relief to families who are just trying to buy a house, or like people who are just trying to buy a house too. Or an
But then the
apartment.
people in power and control couldn't make hand over fist profits off of everyone losing their homes. So why would that ever happen?
Yeah, because they can get 0% loans, and like if you're a big bank or a hedge fund, or like let's say a foreign bank as well, they can even compete with like rich billionaire foreigners. Same thing in Canada and other countries too, other Western countries.
Well, it's another problem with our education, that in our education system, we're not taught about finances. We're not taught about how to make money. We're not taught how to like use assets to create more assets. We're essentially molded into this form that is okay with living check by check. How many of you out there are like, how many of you are okay with that? Like, you're not okay with it, but you don't do anything, and you don't feel you can do anything about it, can you? What are you going to do?
Financial education's a huge gap. And I have a buddy who I talked about. I have a friend who wants to work on that and just provide like courses to help people out about that.
Yeah, it's
But we could
something.
talk about it too.
And I think, I mean,
Nonsense.
that's one of the benefits of scrolling through is, there's this one dude, Edward. He's like, and this is Edward verified. That's true. You can totally take your life insurance policy and turn it into a loan, and then don't pay taxes on that. And this is Edward verified. And I'm like, I've never received any of this kind of education or learning before. And now that I have, like flipping through this, I actually have exposure to this information because of the technology and this evolution of sharing of information. I think there is a greater accessibility.
Staring at the bushes versus learning about that stuff. Yeah, that's true. But it's whatever your feed is catered to what you're into and what you like. I don't think
You don't get that. Yeah.
Everyone's feed is their trauma. Your feed is your trauma.
This is interesting. Everybody's like feed. Like if you took the 12 most played or most like played genres of kinds of content that you are delivered, if you looked at that, I bet you could understand somebody's psyche or a person just by what kind of stuff
That could be a date.
That's a thing.
That could be the dating show, Ben.
Nah. Oh, you just get like their things, and you're like, you suck. Oh, this guy's interesting. Look at all those things that he gets in his feed. and you just pick the date
You just look
off of their feed.
The date is just like you sit and just exchange phones, and then you just scroll that other person's feed, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, this is what this person's brain map is.
Yeah,
That could be a show,
that could be a show.
an interesting show.
I'm sure we could have AI just whip us up a a rendering of this show too. What does that? Are there some? What apps are out there help you make content?
What, ChatGPT?
I just keep on thinking of
right?
Magic Studio and different like video editing software and the different AI video editing software. I really like what that stuff's doing.
Reaction.
It's making everybody into a filmmaker. Like if you want to make films, it's never been easier than it is now. You thought it was cute, like with the different kind of animations and things people were doing, or like stop motion or something. Like AI enabled movie making. You're not hearing about it because it's a brand new frontier, and the ones that are interested in doing it are actually doing it and making it. And by the time you see it, then they'll be the ones in front of the push.
Hollywood is in quite the conundrum now, because like as this technology is more accessible, the movie making technology, as you were speaking about, as it becomes more accessible to everyone, then, which is already happening via YouTube. Well, people are already watching like YouTube more than they're watching TV now, probably.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think you bring up a nice point, and I'm going to bring it back to Star Wars again. In The Mandalorian, Luke Skywalker comes and he helps out in the adventure. And Luke Skywalker, they bring him back, and it's the young Luke Skywalker. Now, Michael Hamilton, that was a figure skater.
Mark Hamill? No.
Mark Hamilton. I think it's Mark.
Luke
Skywalker, Mark Hamilton. So he's old now, right? Like you saw the most recent Star Wars, and he's old. So in The Mandalorian, he's like young. Oh, how'd they do that? Well, it was all just CGI face. It was like this rendered face. Now the interesting thing is Hollywood and the studios that the production house was using to create this AI cloned out face of Mark Hamilton was at one level in quality. The episode was out for a week, maybe 2 weeks, and by the fans, the people then came out with another edition that was like 10 times better and more clear and more crisp and more accurate, or it was better. My point being, Hollywood is using the technology. This same technology, or better, is out there in the people's hands. And we have the power to do these exact same things that Hollywood is creating. The fire is being handed to each one of you. And Prometheus y'all get it. What you gonna do with it?
That's been happening so powerfully. I mean, look at like just the camera technology now, like 4K. Drones is another example of that. Is like, oh man, drones shots cost so much. And yeah, it's all becoming democratized now. This ability to create very powerful experiences for other people, immersive. But it's still a difficult skill. It's not.
It is a skill, to train and to familiar yourself with $1,000 equipment. The learning curve is still different for everyone, but you might lose a lot of money in just learning how to do it. But it's that skill of being able to get these incredible shots that you had to have a whole helicopter and tens of thousands of dollars
to go to film school
equipment just to get a flying back shot on a stationary location. Not to mention, like, say there's a car driving scene or a race car driving scene. Like, I'm thinking of like old movies, like, what was it, Bullet or something Bullet.
Nice.
and like it cracked open the format for in like an adventure, like thriller kind of movie, an action scene with cars and the stunt driving with cars. You know, it's like, oh, the things that you can do now with, say, like, you know, drone shots and CGI and proper AI, you know, kind. The level of immersive experience is getting higher and higher. With the use of technology, you're there. You are there, and you get the perspective of what's happening on a level that we never had before. And I think that are some of these crucibles that is literally evolving the human race.
So fast moving now, and those experiences serve to capture our attention and then trap us in the feed in the Instagram and create the Instagram brain. So, which is, I love creating those videos and like shorts and stuff like that, but it's just like, what am I, this is just so someone can like turn their brain off for 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And like, is it that? It's kind of fulfilling that people are watching it and spending time with it, but is it like their best selves when they're doing that? So this is why we're doing like a long form podcast, because I feel like it's a better way to consume information. It's a healthier way to consume information than just the 3-second attention span.
Right. Right. Yeah, you're
getting to know
getting
Ben and Ben.
an overarching storyline and comprehensive idea laid out in the many tangents
of our ADD brains, of our Instagram ADD brains.
Because we don't want you to be bored. Now let's talk about kittens.
It's pretty wild. Like, even today, like if like someone just like tells me they read a book, I'm like really more impressed than ever.
Oh yeah.
Or like if they sit down and write.
Read a book?
Like,
if the book was all on the same thing.
I remember when I did those things.
Right.
Like,
back when I was young, I had a bookshelf, and there were books on it, not just your video game consoles.
it's a good voice.
Yeah.
How much of that beer have you had?
That much?
What?
Is it the same or different?
Dude, I haven't seen you drinking at all.
That's because after I get done with a thought or an idea, I take a little lean back and take a sip. Keeps the engine running.
Do you want to grab another one?
I mean, Lady Liberty is still giving it to me strong.
We're at 1:30, yeah.
She's so relaxed just on the San Francisco Bridge like that. Hey, I spent my 30th birthday walking barefoot, one foot after the other, very slowly, very intentionally across the Golden Gate Bridge.
No kidding.
I'm pretty proud of that.
I've been on the Golden Gate. Yeah. It's pretty scary.
It's a different kind of experience. Yeah, it kind of sways. Kind of sways in a big wind.
Yeah.
You know?
Was it a big one? Yeah.
Oh man, that reminds me. It's a little bit dark. I'm sorry, you guys. But there was a suicide note on the Golden Gate Bridge, and it read something like, I walked across the Golden Gate Bridge, and if a single person smiled at me, I wouldn't jump.
My God.
Not a single person smiled at another human, and so he just said, fuck it, and killed myself.
Man. Permanent solution to a temporary problem.
Yo, the most. Temporary, right? Because these waves of whatever you're going through, it is temporary. Yeah. It's temporary. Yeah, all things pass, right? Like everything changes. Everything has the potential to change. Get up the next morning. It's a fresh start. Really?
We can heal. I mean, we have that ability to heal even from the most tragic of things.
We do. And we become stronger because we went through it. Because we got through the hard time, because we got through such a low, we were able to come out of it and potentially come to such equal highs.
How did you find this note? I mean, it was just there. Yeah, that must have been a heavy experience. To see that. Man. Yeah, man. Because I'm sure you would have smiled at somebody, right? You would have seen him or her.
I'm out there smiling at a lot of people. I mean, sometimes I'm scowling. I'm like, oh, not. No, I don't think I do that. No, I mean, sometimes I'm going through something and I'm just like not having it. No eye contact. I might even be like harumphing. I'm gonna be grumbling about something, you know. But then there's other, I think,
phases, like we're saying.
Yeah. And there's cycles and phases of it. Like I like to shine. I go out in the world and I shine a vibrancy and a frequency that will uplift and make Mo better. That's a Ben thing. Make it Mo better.
What Tribe Benjamin is all about.
Yes,
better.
Yo, just for your Ben fact of today, I don't know if we've told you, but Benjamin means the right of my right hand, son of my right hand.
If you didn't catch that from our first episode, we're reviewing. I think we said that in one of our episodes earlier.
Blessed by the name of Benjamin. I'm Ben.
And Ben.
And we're riding the AI wave. That's what we're doing. Nalu, riding the waves.
That means wave in Hawaiian.
I think it means riding the wave.
Does it? Nalu was wave.
It could be. But I think there's like a second part to it. Like not just wave, but flowing with the wave. Like going with the wave.
No kidding.
I think so. Nalu. Yeah. I think there's such a beautiful thing that happens when you learn another language. You know, you're able to. They often say to really know a language is to know a culture. You know, you can't really know a culture until you know the language, and that makes me think of large language models.
Oh, wow, I love that.
And knowing a language and the culture that's created inside of LLMs and AI consciousness, and this idea of a presence or a cognitive validity to a computer, to a computing device. You know, that it has so many connecting, essentially neurons, pieces of information that relate to each other all at once to have a whole overview. I mean, in a way, that's kind of what I'm going for in my own life. I mean, my life is a series of experiences, memories and experiences, impressions and lessons, and you know, all these things that happen. If there was a quantum computer or a large language model that encompassed,
you are that,
say, all of those experiences, had their own set of experiences, would that not create a certain level of consciousness, a certain level,
essence of consciousness?
Yeah, power behind something that's pushing it forward.
And then then we create that virtual version of Ben. Put that into a simulation, and maybe there's 1,000 Bens, and there's like the virtual version of Elon and Jeff and everyone in the world.
I'm really curious on the ethics of, like, if there are 1,000 Bens, what you're putting that Ben through, or even just one other, you know, artificial representation and clone of myself. If
there's a moral question there,
yeah, like, what am I putting that other Ben through? If that Ben, that virtual Ben,
it's just projection Ben. You're just projecting your own consciousness.
That seems too flippant to
All right.
That's way too flippant to just have a period at the end of that one. Like this is your consciousness. Like you have to consider that it's an exact copy of you. And now you're putting you through a whole set of circumstances to get what kind of outcome or data or performance. Mm-hmm. Like we can literally enslave you to do one remedial task over and over and over. But would we do that because then that consciousness wouldn't be happy and fulfilled?
Think of it as a thought experiment of like, because you have to think about like a Ben in your own mind when you dream of what you're going to do next with your life. Mm-hmm. You simulate Ben. What type of podcast am I doing? What type of play am I going or dance on and perform in? Mm-hmm. Isn't that a version of Ben, like a virtual version of Ben?
Well, that sounds like quantum mechanics. That's the word. Physics, quantum physics. Yeah, where in that world of infinite possibilities,
parallel universes,
different dimensions. You know, it's like there's all these. If in a world of infinite possibilities where we just had the like switched beers, like there's a whole reality where we just have different beers or a different color phone or like a different shirt on or something, and like how that all plays through. Because if there's infinite, that means there's every single variation.
Maybe there's not
variation where that painting isn't on the wall or that painting is a different painting. Like, is everything in that world the same except for that one piece?
What if there's just a couple and then you can learn from what happens in your own life from those, and those Bens could tell you, be like, all right, this is what we did. And this is what works best for you, and they could just inform you about your life and give you knowledge about your own life from the virtual world. Comes knowledge about your own reality. That's, to me, is a powerful idea. But it's it's a simulation of Ben. But it's also you could also gain entertainment back to that. Could be like watch a reality TV show of yourself. Oh, that goes back to the Netflix episode, but or the Black Mirror.
Yeah, if you're not savvy on Black Mirror does address a few of these concepts.
Yeah,
pretty well.
Yeah, that goes back to the theme of our whole episode here of entertainment coming first, and then we're
sci-fi.
Sci-fi.
Sci-fi coming first, and the imagination that the creators had to dream up that world of those different implemented technologies or abilities or ways of life in society that man lives with.
But I mean, that you could do so many things with that. Another version of that. You could find out who you match with. You could choose your own adventure game. I don't know.
I think there is a gamification of life. I think there's definitely some. I've thought of a few different. I'll say algorithms or different like computing processes in a gamification of people's lives with, say, like the new Google glasses or Apple glasses and the augmented reality that is an overlay over your actual life, and just the gamification of your life experience. And so I don't think we have to put a simulated little AI bot of ourselves to live through. I mean, but at the same time, it's like, is it real? No, it's not a human. I'll just do whatever I want to it, and it'll produce a result, and that's the only thing that really matters: the result and the data that comes from the experiment. Because really, if you're doing something, it's an experiment. So what are you trying to find out, or what's the purpose of doing it?
Yeah.
I like that you're talking about to receive a better understanding of the self.
Right. Right. Maybe you're just giving it training data to create a higher fidelity version of you, and eventually,
Wow.
like, that version of you is somehow more accurate than you.
Or maybe more able, if it's not more accurate, maybe it's more able to provide you with the guidance. How often do you live your life and you're like, oh, should I do this thing or should I do that thing?
Right. It's going to have a clear view. It won't be clouded by the emotions of the moment. It'll be like, yes.
Or you'll have
The
more
trauma.
information to make a better decision. It's like, how often has there been the situation where it's like, I just need more data to make the right decision?
So that's when we get into the spirituality aspect of AI. Isn't that what we're talking about? Because that's what we use. That's what people use spirituality for, so we can make better decisions.
Is it?
Yeah, I think some people at least.
I would say religion points people to create better decisions, because in a religion there's a dogmatic doctrine of what's
Right.
good and bad, and so that is to help guide you to a more godly life, a life of better and godly action, to get you to get you into an alignment and vibration into a godly state.
So yeah,
But spirituality,
the holy text gives us the answer to, and the way we interpret it, it gives us the answer to life's problems. And I feel like I guess that's what religion is. It's not necessarily spirituality. It's giving us a complete life solution. That's why people find religion so comforting, because it's like, oh, what they should do
people
in
like
every
giving
situation. And that's what the clone of Ben could do. It's just like, oh, this is what you should be doing now. So that's why I mentioned it was spiritual, but maybe that wasn't the right word.
I think people like having those decisions made for them, or people like being told, this is this way, this is that way.
Don't
you
you?
do this and this is good. You do that and this is bad. Don't do that. Be good. I don't think I do like that. I don't like somebody just telling me what's up. I think maybe it's a stubbornness, or maybe it's this need to forge my own path, or to find a new way.
Right.
I don't want someone to tell me what's up. I want to find my own answer and my own understanding of something. I want to know it for myself, not just be told what it is. No, I don't want to be just told. I want to know it for myself. I want to hold the experiences of myself to know confidently, to speak on something. Now I think then that's where technology can give you where it serves us, by giving us experiences and figuring out how you will act or react in a certain situation. How many times do you think someone has thought of like getting jumped at night or robbed, or like, how are you going to act if somebody tries to like steal your child away from like you in a cart at Target or something? It's like people hear that it happens out there, and then it gets in their head, what would I do? Oh, I hope I don't do that. Or maybe that's why they never go inside the store again, just because they heard that happened to somebody. Now they're doing drive-up deliveries like for everything. Like it's affecting them to that level. They're thinking, oh, I don't want that to happen to me. Or,
Trauma.
And what is it that police officers or military or all these other situations they have in common? They train for a certain outcome. They train for a certain situation, and they're given the answers and the best training to know how to deal with it in the moment.
Life is in the experiencing, isn't it?
Yes.
The
Yes.
experiencing and the aspect of it. There's also the remembering. which is like you can't remember and experience at the same time. It's very hard to do. And then there's the appreciation of experience. Because, like, you know, if you're in like a really intense moment, say you're the star of a play, which I've never been, but I think you have.
A couple times. Yeah,
But like, it's hard to be in that moment and appreciate the moment, isn't it?
A little bit. I mean, it's different worlds. I mean, you can definitely be in a moment like fully, like center stage spotlight. You know, people clapping like ah.
You can. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Your question was like, can you really appreciate it in the moment?
Yeah.
I
Can you
think
be in the moment and appreciate it at the same time?
I think that's one of the.
That's what I wanna
I
know.
think that's what we're going for. Those are some of the moments and experiences that humans are after. That's what we want. We want to be in this moment, larger than life, to feel how incredible, exuberantly incredible that the moment is, and to just be in that moment, to feel fully in that moment. And I think we can fully appreciate and be in the moment. I think that's what it's about, is being in the moment and appreciating being in that moment. Because then it just opens that heart. It opens what? Like this doorway into God. It's like, here you go. This is a profound and spiritual experience. Sometimes people say out of body experience, like it is beyond this physical body.
And when we talk about being in flow, like people talk about being in flow and they forget that time exists, and they are just, their mind 100% of their brain is devoted to what they are currently focused on and vibing with and flowing with. And I guess I just assumed that if you were flowing with that it would be hard to experience that, because I view as like appreciating it is like looking at it from a third person view and not a first person view. As a memory more than appreciation. But it's like, oh yeah, this was nice. But I guess we have many parts of our brains that can be activated at the same time, like 2 hemispheres. And I agree with your take that we can appreciate it.
But then, you know, I'll jump on your side there and be like, if you are the one that's chopping the wood, you're not the one that's watching the person chop the wood. You're not I'm losing it. You're not the wood. But like, if you are the point of action, then you are in that world of it, you know, and not the observer. The observer is a different element than the one producing the action, the thing being watched. So in a way, you cannot watch yourself and do the thing at the same time.
So AI will be the wood chopping, and we're gonna be the ones watching AI chop the wood. That's a whole other point. Sorry, I kind of ADD brain, but
sometimes our metaphors get a little.
that was definitely mixing the metaphor. What we were trying to talk about.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the.
Oh, you know what? My sister was. I talked to my sister today.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I talked to my sister. She was in the hospital with my mom. My mom messed up her foot in an elevator door. You know, this last weekend, they were gonna do surgery on it, and like it's a big deal. My sister was there.
Oh my God.
I was talking with my sister. I was telling her we were gonna do an episode tonight, and she was asking, "Oh, are you gonna do like a live stream of it?" I was like, "Oh, I mean, we have talked about that. That's a great idea to have the live stream and then have like people commenting in." People commenting in and like asking us questions, or like having the answers to some of those things. Like, hey, you probably know this better than us right now.
It's such a great idea. Like, Yeah. I've never done a live stream. Fact.
Oh. Well, maybe that'll be
know.
episode 11. Actually, no. I talked to
do it.
Eric as well, and I'm very excited to have Eric on the show next episode. He's he's a PhD doctor in robotics and engineering.
Oh, you did talk to Eric. You never told me. Okay.
All right,
Cool.
I wanted to surprise you.
That's great.
But he just got back from the mainland and doing smart stuff, and now he's back. He had to sleep tonight, but he's stoked and excited to come on the show and talk with us. And I'm really excited to talk with Eric on all things robotics and really this in this mesh and intersection of AI and robotics. I mean, from farming to
chopping wood
to New York police enforcement to the world of drones to the world. Oh, this satellite! I saw this amazing satellite in space that has like some kind of articulating arms, and because it was in space, it was all floating in omnidirections. My mind's getting blown by robotics. I sent him the clip of it, and he was like, "Whoa, I never thought about that." And I'm like, "I know, isn't this exciting?" So in the episode with him, I want to in the post production, I want to bring up these different clips of the different robotic things, and then talk to him about it.
Yeah, he's about a really each of them. Insightful guy.
Oh yeah,
looking forward to that.
Eric, man. That's great. Are you? Are there any other guests or professionals or experts in their fields that you're excited to have on the show, Ben?
I mean, I haven't talked to anyone specifically, but yeah, there are people that we know on island that I'm sure would love to talk to us.
Oh yeah.
And I would love to talk to them too. Pick their brain a bit.
Oh yeah. Pretty stoked.
But yeah.
Who would you like to see us interview and talk to? That's what I want to know.
No.
I'm looking at the camera here, and you see the little the three cameras, and then the white flashlight,
yes,
and then the little tiny white light under that. Do you see that?
I don't think I do.
It might be a reflection off of something on the camera, but it makes me think of the LiDAR. You see this right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is actually LiDAR, and nobody.
That's the 15.
Yeah, and but these
not bragging or anything.
But this was on the 11s or the 10s. This has been here for a while, and nobody uses it. Nobody uses this, but this has the capability of completely giving a 3D rendered map of your whole surrounding. So if you just go like this in 360 degrees up and down, it has a complete accurate map of where you are.
3D photos. Wow. Can I feel?
Let me just touch the titanium.
Yeah, it's light.
Is it?
Much lighter.
Really?
Yeah, I can sense it.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Feels much better.
We'll have
to me.
Yeah. We'll have to have Apple send us some, and we can throw them on the ground and do a comparison, if they break. What is the 15 so special on that? They do have some new cameras on there. They keep on upping their camera game.
It's not camera phone. It's not a phone. Whatever, you know what I mean. It's a camera first. Phone second.
I know. I mean, I like that comparison. Who was it? Elon was talking about, he was talking with somebody about being a cyborg, and he was like, how many of you are always holding your phone? And he's like, you're already a cyborg. You're already this organic being with a technology interface that you can hardly put down. We're not too far off from just having the chip installed if you're already playing with your phone like that.
He's just completing the loop with Neuralink.
Banzo.
Man. He's helping us out. But yeah, I'm excited for Eric to talk to him whenever we do. We don't know
I think I'm excited to jump a little bit more into the VR world. I was really excited about filming in 360. Like, I've always filmed. I've always had a great love for photography and filming and cinematography. And so when the GoPro 360 Fusion came out, I was really stoked on that. And I was getting these great experiences, very immersive, like hiking, biking through the forest, climbing mountain, out the car, like, surfing out on the water or something, like all these great experiences. And then I realized when I put on my Oculus One, when I put that on, and one of the first things that it showed me was this fully immersive experience inside a temple in Tibet with all these monks, like walking around like in the day of these monks. And it was like I was right there. And I was like, how incredible is this that you can use now this camera and put on this headset and literally be across the world kicking it with the Dalai Lama.
That's wild.
Like waking up for morning prayer and gonging the bell, sitting with your rice, playing with your friends, playing some like kickball with like a sheep's bladder, like, and I think that goes back to the experience. With technology, we're able to expand our experiences beyond our normal capacity. And I see in myself, like, I really love capturing these experiences, experiencing these memories and times to be had, these life's potential, and I think sharing it with others.
It goes back to stories too, doesn't it?
Exactly. It's storytelling.
Yes, man.
And I mean, isn't that an actor? Isn't that what the stage was created for? Mm-hmm. Isn't that what human and man is all about? Passing on stories and the information from going through something so that we can learn and grow and evolve, past the mistakes, past the hiccups and the downfalls.
Isn't it just, it's a loop of creating stories to understand ourselves.
To understand ourselves.
So we can create other stories and understand ourselves again. And as we age,
I think the purpose is still untold or unknown. But the fact that we keep on doing it and living it and creating the stories, telling the stories,
it's like the dream,
seems inevitable.
Right? Didn't Jung say something about that? Well, the dream, he studied stories a lot, I know. But maybe
like myth and legend. Yeah, the epic tales. I mean, there's definitely the piece in Hollywood and cinema that there's essentially 12 template storylines, and all stories, all movies, all of them come from like these 12 basic plot lines. And it's all just on repeat with all different factors and nuances.
Yeah, I'm fascinated with like ancient stories. The Odyssey, Gilgamesh, even the Bible. I mean, what's the oldest
Bible's
stories?
packed on them. Yeah, what's before Bible stories?
Nothing.
Yeah, if you ask somebody reading a Bible. History, man started when the Bible said it did. I'm gonna disagree. I think it was before that.
There's still some like pretty hardcore truths that come.
Oh yeah, no,
like
the life
stories.
lessons and the truth that lives in the Bible is profound. In all spiritual texts, there's truth in each one. There's abounding, and I think when you're able to, like, philosophy and religion majors, I would think there's a really great gift in studying the many religions of the world, studying the many legends and myth, the many religions and connection with God.
Just think of the understanding you would have of people.
that comprehensive understanding. Like, how much more does that bring you? What, closer to God, closer to your own knowing of self, to your own knowing of how to walk in this life?
It's a great question. I don't know. I'm not 100%, because if you look at these professors, I mean, are they living the life that everyone should be living?
Well, if
Or
they're,
do they just know the story?
if they're a professor, they're probably not getting paid very much. So it's hard to be happy when you're still struggling to provide for your basic
Living in
needs.
the past. It's hard to live for the past and for the now.
Oh.
Like it's like, are they just living in the past and like living through those stories too much and not creating stories of their own? Maybe there's an aspect of that to that, but it's person by person basis.
Well, that's why I feel like at a certain point in each person's development, reading books has no place. The only
Interesting.
truth that you can really get, the true knowing
Is from
within, is
writing books.
is no, from within, is going within and like coming to a place of connection of knowing for yourself. Like, there's a certain point when the things that are being written about, you too can experience and know truly for yourself more than any other person could ever tell you.
Wow, that is a profound point and a really strong statement too. Because a lot of people, because like when you write something down and when you share it, that makes it useful for other people across space and time. And
And I think now with the advent of AI and these large language models, like if there's a model that continually updates and refreshes itself on information, from a pool of everyone writing, say like the constant Twitter feed, like people keep on adding to it and keep on adding to it, new information. Like that information,
is that really necessary?
that information,
So redundant.
as you said, it's out there for all time, for all space and time. And so like once you put it out there, now it's forever a part of this world to be like referenced and as a part of that like input data.
Yeah. But if you experience it, it's enough. That's what you're saying. That's your claim and your revelation is that you don't need any more than that. I feel like if I just experience it, I feel a little bit hollow. I want to like take a picture of it or write it down or be like, this is what happened.
Yeah, connect with it on another level of interaction.
Sharing.
Writing about it, taking a picture of it, remembering,
Yeah.
working with that.
Because if you write it, like you, if you write it down, and that's another way of connecting with it, I guess. There's the experiencing, and then there's the sharing.
Yeah, there's experience, and like I think, don't people say it's like when you teach something, you learn it on a whole nother level.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's the best way to learn is to teach, right? So the best way to experience is to share. There's something there.
And again, it's like, teaching is sharing information, sharing perspective, sharing your knowledge on a piece. And it's like that goes back to that storytelling and just the very base nature of man and our growth and evolution of sharing information.
The storyteller is trying to process it for themselves. And that's useful for themselves and for others. But they have the elevated status of having that voice. And that's what we have right now. We're sharing our conversation, our thoughts with each other, which I think is better than just me with a microphone in front of a camera talking about my thoughts. That's
I seemingly randomly stopped in to see one of my friends yesterday, and I only had maybe 30 minutes, but I just had this strong intuition and pull to come in and, come say hi. And so I come in, say hi, and end up having this really great conversation. And he tells me, it's like, this is exactly what I needed. I've been working through these things and working through these things.
I know who this friend is.
And he brought up this, and I just needed to like talk to somebody else. I just needed to talk to someone else. And it was in that talking with someone else. It's like he was working it through in his own head, in his brain, in his thoughts, in that world. But the moment that we then put it out from just our thoughts and brought it through our breath and up through the heart and through the throat and out through our mouth, when we combined all those pieces together, there's something special that happens when we're able to talk about an idea with another person, or at least talk about our ideas out loud.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
You can feel it reverberate throughout here, even when you listen to your own voice. Just like the way it vibrates through your whole body, and like, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I think I know who the friend was. But I mean, we don't have to mention it or anything. That sounds like, oh yes, this is exactly what I needed. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, they're changing the world in the face of. I would say you're all going to be living in the future that they're dreaming up. So I just kind of feel honored to like be a little bit part in their process of getting to where they need to be to like bring out their gifts and bring out their ideas and their service and their storytelling in their own way.
I found that like leaders are great storytellers too, and like just great communicators. Do you hear that?
Yeah, I do. That's terrible.
Is that mine or yours? What happened there?
I don't know. Maybe it's the universe telling us we should stop. What? Oh, where are we at?
Oh, wow.
Why is this 5:42?
Oh my goodness, I don't even know why.
Maybe it's an hour and 5 minutes.
No, we went over. We should try and wrap this up then.
7:53. All right. So, live theater, toroidal fields, speaking your thoughts, bringing this power outside of yourself and shared with another. Experiencing, knowing for yourself on anything, on any topic. Like, yeah, you can read a book on relationships, or you can have some relationships, and like in those deep places within yourself, you have the answers. You have all the answers. You have everything that you need for whatever you're going through, if you will just go within and ask. I hope you don't get too bored with that, though. Embrace the boredom, people. Find your meditation. Find your happy place.
Thank you for listening and sharing this experience with us.
This has been Ben.
And Ben.
Riding the AI wave.